Hello and welcome to another one of our Saturday Spotlight interviews. My name is Anna Amelia and I'm from Northeast Animal Rights. I'm delighted to have Sarah Heiligtag, who is the founder of a sanctuary and a vegan farm, which also led on to the founding of Transfarmation. So welcome, Sarah, and thank you very much for agreeing to do this for us.
Thank you so much. I'm really delighted to be here.
You're very welcome. So let's go straight into the questions now. And the question which I ask everyone, first of all, could you tell us about your vegan journey, please?
Yeah, my vegan journey is actually quite boring because I grew up as a vegetarian. I felt like a little animal rights activist all my life, but I didn't really make the connection that actually I wasn't consequent enough. And then when I started to study philosophy, we went into human rights, animal rights, justice topics, and we came across, of course, animal ethics. And that's when I realized, hey, I'm actually not going all the way down to animal rights. And that's when I switched immediately.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting, actually. We just had a conversation with someone on one of our Facebook posts who was kind of saying that all we do is animal rights. And we were saying, actually, they aren't mutually exclusive because there are massive overlaps with feminism and animal rights, climate justice, social justice. There are, natural links with them. So in the UK, we have farmers for stock-free farming, and that's run by Rebecca Knowles up in Scotland. We also have Reformed, and they work to support farmers who want to transition away from animal agriculture. So could you tell us about how transformation came about and your current projects, please?
Yes, the thing is, we came from university. I was teaching ethics at universities and schools because I thought I need to tell everyone now about this really big justice topic. And as you just mentioned, it's about justice to everyone, and the whole animal rights goes into human rights very much. And I went into teaching and I realized that it's too much in theory. It's so not in practical kind of issues. So we kind of decided we need to found a place where we not only talk about it but also do it. Like everyone who talks about veganism and vegan farming doesn't really have the solutions. How does it work? Does it function? Does it really work? And that's how we actually ended up finding this place, this farm where we actually rescue animals out of justice considerations, but also think about what is a sustainable way of farming and then do it. And this inspired other farmers because they saw that with the land we have now, we can feed many more people because we take the land off the crops for animal feeding. We actually create a more just way of agriculture, and we don't kill any animals, but we do integrate some animals that they can be also teachers with us and all that and have a right to life. And apparently that was something farmers in Switzerland were waiting for, and they contacted us and said, do you think it's also possible to do that on my farm? Could I stop killing and still be a farmer? And this was something completely new to me, that I go and tell farmers what to do. But of course I got very motivated because I saw how many animals can I rescue by changing farms. And that's how it slowly started back in 2018. Where we did the first transformation, and then other farmers saw that because it was covered in the media, and that's how it actually started. Not because we had to plan to do it, but then the farmers came themselves.
So it's kind of you were leading by example, putting your money where your mouth is, essentially, and other farmers were watching your transition and watching your processes and realizing that actually they could do it as well. And I suppose, I mean, in this country we hear a lot of a lot of issues around farming, about the financial side of it, the emotional the emotional impact. And I think a lot of farmers do feel trapped. So it's good that there are now so many ways of them transitioning to away from animal agriculture. So what animals do you have in your sanctuary, and what crops do you grow on your farm?
We have all kinds of animals because we didn't transform our own farm. We started by rescuing animals. So we have pigs, goats, horses, sheep, chickens, turkeys, rabbits, ducks. We do also have cows, but they are not on our farm. We have them on transformed farms. So we have kind of 11 different species, if you don't consider the wild ones as well.
Yeah.
And we grow Different kinds of veggies, because we have this veggie box, this weekly box that people can grab here, and we deliver to vegan restaurants and shops. And also we try out every year some different crop like chickpeas or lupines or oats or different kinds of small pieces of land, because we don't have a very big farm either.
So, so what do you think? I mean, you're talking about the, how you can do it and how other farmers have approached you. But what do you think are the current obstacles to farmers who want to transition? Is it culture? Is it the law? Is it mindset? Or is it just perceived lack of support? Or is it a combination of all of those?
Exactly. What you just mentioned can be, it can be a combination. It can be just not knowing that there's other ways. Just like growing up like this, and dad has done it like that, so the son will take over and do it the same way, not even questioning it. And also they learn that everyone is suffering a little bit, even if you're not at ease with killing animals. It's just part of it. And then they don't see the options. As soon as they see there is other ways of farming, they get interested. But it can also be that the social surroundings are quite hard, because everyone is having pigs for meat, and why should he change now in the middle of all of these pig farmers? And this whole, like, you have to be a little bit brave for sure to say, now I'm going a different way. I'm standing up for the animals and for the environment, essentially. So I think it's the combination. It's never the finance part that is an obstacle, but some people think it is. Like, I even come across activists who say, yeah, but they have to live off something. But yeah, they can earn very well money without killing animals. It's actually a little bit absurd, even, because the future is animal-free farming, and it's kind of essential to now go into that and not stick with the old system. So financially, it is not an obstacle. It is a pretended obstacle, maybe.
Well, mostly it's kind of, so it's more the culture and the mindset and kind of the fact that's a generational thing then. Yeah.
Yes, totally. Yes, it's very much so. It's maybe 80% of the farms I go to, it is the son. He took over since 5 years or so, and he feels not at ease, and he suffers in the system, and he wants to change. And the dad and the mom still living on site, which is in Switzerland the case. And then they have these conflicts and discussions, and it's really like an intergenerational thing.
Yeah, it must be quite difficult though if you're sort of the younger generation, like a new generation farmer, and you want to move away from something which has been in your family for, you know, maybe hundreds of years. I know we talked to Jay and Katja Wild, who actually set up you know who they are, from the Bradley Nook farm, and Jay, they both said that they were pretty much vilified in their community because they went against the norm. So I suppose it is quite a brave step. I mean, I suppose it's slightly different from you because you're kind of approaching from a different angle. But if you're an animal farmer and you want to move away from something, it's kind of almost saying to all of your neighbours that they are doing something wrong, and they're feeling judged by it. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, it's a bit like becoming vegan, and everyone around feels like they need to discuss it and say, why are you always talking about veganism?
We try not to actually, as soon as somebody finds out you're vegan, then they ask you.
Yeah, exactly.
So where do you think that Switzerland sits in terms of progress away from animal farming? Here in the UK, we have big dairy subsidies. You know, we know that if the government removed the dairy subsidies, that farmers wouldn't be able to manage. They would collapse pretty much overnight. There's not very many farms who could manage without the subsidies. So what is it like in Switzerland?
Exactly the same. Exactly the same. Especially for dairy, yeah. But like 80% of the subsidies go into animal farming.
Yeah.
And there's a very slow change, which we can't wait for that to change. We have to change the farms before that. But of course, the support needs to come from somewhere else, because we don't have a governmental support for changing farms. And we have also a very big lobby behind dairy products in Switzerland. But it's like you said, if that subsidies would go away, we wouldn't have many dairy farms left, for sure.
Yeah, we've. I don't know if you've been been able to see any of the news of what's happening in the UK with Animal Rebellion, and their plant-based future systems. They're sort of their big campaigns at the moment, and they are doing exactly that. They're trying to get the government to talk to farmers and to them about transitioning away. And actually, they've had quite a lot of success with the farmers behind the scenes. But it is again that very, very stubborn mindset from government that they will continue to do the same old thing, you know. So
Yeah.
really, really frustrating. And of course, we know obviously we know Switzerland is very famous for the milk chocolate.
Yeah.
So obviously dairy is crucial to that.
Yeah,
Well,
but you can do oat milk chocolate, right?
exactly, yeah, exactly. Of course you can, yeah. And there's so much better as well, so much better.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, oat milk is one of the ones we say is our go-to milk because it's
Yeah.
so similar. So for those who are kind of really dubious about trying something different, it's one of those ones which actually looks very, very similar, and the impact on the environment is considerably less as well.
Oh, way less, 10 times less, right? And in
Yeah,
Switzerland, also our soil is perfect for growing
yeah,
oats, and you shouldn't be doing dairy.
yeah, yeah. So can you tell us about a success story for transformation? One of the ones which maybe one of your early ones, or something you're doing at the moment, or just something you're particularly proud of?
I mean, of course, the first one I'm particularly proud of because we didn't know what we were doing. And it was a big dairy farm. And this farmer stood in front of us, tears in his eyes. And he was like, I'm not going to kill one single animal anymore. I can't do it. It was very emotional. And we said, we'll help you. And within 2 months, we changed the whole farm around into a sanctuary part and vegan farm, and that was like huge. That's also why it came into media, of course, and that in dairy country Switzerland, it was a great start. So this still is an emotional story. But I must say, I have helped over 110 farms now these past 4 years, and every story is kind of unique, but then also there's many similarities. Of course, for me, the ones that involve very emotional stories where the farmer tells me he goes into the barn and he looks the pig into the eyes and he realizes there's someone behind these eyes, and then he is not able to kill them anymore. They touch me way more than the just rational ones. But of course, they are all very valuable. I just love to see how quickly you can change a whole system around that's been going on for years and been normalized and all that. And suddenly you say no, and within a few weeks or months, you can change it. I mean, that just shows how we could change the whole world into a better place and a friendlier, kinder, together place. That it wouldn't take long, you know.
I'm quite surprised when he said 2 months, actually, because that's a very, very quick turnaround time. I know Jay Weil said he took his last his last cows to the slaughterhouse, and then realised he couldn't do it anymore. So they did it. They did it quite a hard way because they literally decided there and then on their own with little help at that time, and then they worked with the Vegan Society afterwards. But that is a very quick turnaround. So can you tell us about the process then of that particular, sort of how you were able to do that so quickly?
That one we called into the activist community who can support a cow, like a sponsorship, who could take over a cow sponsorship and support with financial how do you say, fundings. And then also we meanwhile sat down to write a plan. What could he grow? What could he sell? What could he do? And we spent a lot of time in just planning and doing the conceptual work, and meanwhile also keeping all the cows alive and finding people to support them. And since this was so new, everyone was like, wow, yes, I'm going to support this, right? So that was really fastly done. I must say, now having transformed so many farms, of course, not every time everyone is overexcited anymore because it's almost normal now. So it's harder now to find people to support if you need sponsorships, but you don't always need sponsorships, luckily. Mainly if you focus on plant-based crops, you can make an income from that. But if the farm says, I want to keep as many animals as possible and also have a sanctuary place where people can come and learn about the animals and all that, then of course you need people to support. And it depends also the contracts they have. what needs to be done before they can say, now I'm fully transitioned, right?
Yeah.
So that.
Yeah. So that's a sort of a different model to kind of like going from animal farming to crop farming to arable, because they are actually having that, they're actually running a sanctuary and the arable farming as well. So they're having like two sources of income, I suppose, as well. So how was your original the original farmer? How are they doing?
They are doing quite well. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And it was nice to hear you say that it's you kind of it's becoming so normal now that that people are not getting as excited about it. I mean, I suppose that's a downside, but it's because it's becoming more normalized, isn't it? And that's what we want. We want it to become normal. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's next for you then? I mean, you've got loads of things going on, I know, but what's the most the thing which is coming up for you at the moment?
So next for us is definitely that since we have so many farms who are ready to grow crops that we don't have in Switzerland yet, like lupines, for example, or chickpeas, and we have consumers who eat all these products coming from somewhere in another country, that we now build the system where the crops can go from the producer to the consumer, like the whole supply chain, take it into Switzerland, have a really ethical, sustainable supply chain, which is a big story. We have to find the right mills that actually work with these products, with these crops that they have never worked before and all that. So we are now in the middle between the producer and the consumer, where we want to focus a little bit to make it more professional.
Yeah. But that's presumably creating more jobs in your country as well, isn't it? Because it's bringing it, and it's benefiting the carbon footprint, because these crops are not being flown across continents. They're actually produced in your country. So it's like a win on a number of fronts, because you're getting new jobs and new skills learned as well. So yeah. And we know that chickpeas are one of the fundamental things that vegans need as well. So you're going to get. So when we always say, when people say, where do you get your protein from, we all, chickpeas and beans are one of the main sources. So anyway, that's all my questions now. So it's been absolutely fascinating talking to you this morning, and an absolute privilege to talk to somebody who's doing it. The hard work actually with a sanctuary. We know from other people who we talk to who have sanctuaries how much work it is. It's a 24/7 job, and then also doing the other part of it as well, which is kind of like helping other farmers transition. So thank you very much for all of your hard work, and much love and respect from all of us here in the UK. We really appreciate what you're doing over there. So I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to sign off and say thank you very much. This is Anna Amelia from Northeast Animal Rights, talking to Sarah Heiligtag from Transfarmation over in Switzerland. So goodbye for now, and take care.